Welcome! You're listening to Making Relationships Work. We're a company focused on women and their marriage. We lead and teach women just like you how to grow into and access, whenever you need to, your wise woman's self. The part of you who is deeply connected to your purpose, your innate wisdom, and your husband and family. We teach women in marriages how to rebuild trust and connection, to work through conflicts no matter how deep, no matter how painful, and to lead your marriage to a place where the two of you experience marriage mastery. This podcast is about learning the systems and techniques that truly work to reconnect you back into your marriage so that you can experience the freedom that comes with a masterful marriage. Since this podcast is totally free, if you're getting tons of value and you want to support us and make sure that you get more of this good stuff, subscribe below and rate and review our podcast today. Now, on to the show. Hello, Making Relationships Work. Hello, women making marriages work. It's so nice to be here with you tonight. We are talking all things family dinners. Now, if you are a couple without children or children aren't home because they've flown the nest, then this still works. We just hold the frame for you and your husband being a family. Yes? So the family begins with you and your husband and then it expands out. So let's talk around family dinners. I want to talk about the importance of being together, sharing a meal, breaking bread with the family. So there's a heap of research in this space about how important family dinners are and how the demise of the family dinner is linked to all kinds of negative problems in terms of separation, depression, anxiety, loneliness, feeling unsupported, and all of that kind of stuff, all of the members of the family, not just children. There's a heap of research on that, but we're not here to talk about that. The other thing we're not here to talk about is what you're eating, because this is not a wellness blog. This is not a wellness channel from that perspective. So I don't mind what you're eating. What I want to know is, are you eating together? And how much of a priority is that? Because we know that families, and again, the definition of a family here is at least the two of you. Yes? And then you can add on kids, you can add on extended family or friends or whoever you want. But are you eating together regularly? And regularly means at least once a week, and I would prefer it to be 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah, I would like you to be looking at your family dinner situation and getting your scientist hat on and starting to run some observations and analysis. I want you to start thinking, what is it like when we sit around the table? What are we talking about? What are we sharing? What is the feeling like at the table? What does it mean to us when we sit down together at the table? What are my kids learning from being at the table with us? Am I happy with what they're learning? If I had some influence here because I was more conscious about this, how would I express that influence? What would I add to that? And so I want you to look at what we're talking about through those kinds of question scientist lenses, because the dinner table, or the lack of a dinner table, is the very place where you can see a family's function, how well it is functioning. And that's what we want to look at with your family. So is it a place where everyone comes together and shares a meal and talks about their day and shares who they are and their trials and their triumphs? Is it a place where we notice and appreciate other people? Is it a place where we have a ritual around us that has us feel good? So in our house on the weekends, Saturdays or Sundays, we set the table and we have pancakes and bacon, and we love it. And we make the table pretty fancy. We do it for breakfast. Actually, we call it second breakfast in our family because first breakfast is too early for me to eat. So we do it in second breakfast. And so we have this ritual, an anchor point every weekend. And the children make name cards at the table and we share what we love about each other and what we notice and appreciate about each other during the week. And we notice when someone's going through something hard, We lift them up, we empathize, and we show that solidarity. And we do that every single weekend. Plus, we eat dinner together most nights. Now, most nights is a thing that many families can't do. So this isn't about doing it wrong. It's about prioritizing it when you can and setting that as a goal for a number of times a week. So for us in this family, eating together right now is very possible. I have young children, so there's not after school curricular things. And I've set up a life where we can have dinner together 7 nights a week. That's not going to always be possible. So this is not an exercise in beating yourself up. This is an exercise in believing what the power of intent and the setting of a goal and then the orchestration of that goal and what that can do on a family system, and understanding your leadership role here and your opportunity here to really make a big difference. So that's what it looks like in our house. And so if I was to describe to you what it looks like in the women's that I work with house before we start working together, or perhaps the women who book calls with me to talk about what their life is like, that dinner table is not a place where they feel loved and supported. It's not a place where the family feels connected and sharing their experiences, good and bad, but also sharing their appreciation for each other and their love for each other at that table. Or it's not a place where they come and then feel better. It's a place where you can see the impact of the current state of the marriage or the culture of the family playing out at the dinner table. And perhaps that's why we avoid the dinner table, because the dinner table allows us to really see what we're creating day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And that, if we don't want to look at that, if we want to avoid looking at the reality of where we are as a family right now, then avoiding having dinner is a really good place to start, isn't it? And so this becomes around, how do I set this dinner up so that we can see a life that is different, a life that feels better? And that is a different conversation. And so what we're doing is we're saying, well, if I look at my family around a dinner table, we're fighting, we're bickering, we're getting up and down, we're on our phones, we're trying to look at the TV down the hall, we are eating quickly, we're not eating, we are spilling and being yelled at, we are not eating it and being yelled at, we are disconnected, frazzled, unhappy, irritable, sad, upset, lonely, frustrated, afraid, and alone. And so you both know where you would rather have your family be. And therefore, sitting at the dinner table and really seeing the truth of where you are is a really important step, because that family dinner table where the two of you sit in silence, or the 4 of you or 6 of you or however many there are at the table, don't get a sense of that deep connectedness, where you don't feel supported and loved and appreciated and noticed, and you're having a sense of deep belonging 2 days a week, 4 days a week, 6 nights a week, whatever it is. If you're not having that, or when you do have it, it's not there, what does this tell you? Well, my loves, it tells you that you've got a problem. And what's going to happen if you don't fix the problem? If you leave that symptom of the dinner table the exact same way. So the dinner table is a symptom of the culture of your family, which is led by the 2 of you at the top. Yes? And if that symptom stays where it is and keeps going in that trajectory, what happens? Nothing good. Nothing good happens. Do you see? You are allowing something to keep going that isn't working. And when you allow something to happen that isn't working to keep going on day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, you know what happens? A family disconnects. All that is possible as a unit starts to move apart. People become separate rather than belonging. And do you know what feels the worst as a human? Is not belonging. Because when you don't belong, where do you go to feel safe? Where do you go to feel loved? Where do you go to feel valued enough? Where do you go to feel appreciated? And so if that's not showing up at your dinner table, then it's not showing up in your family. And if it's not showing up in your family, then you have people living in that family that are malnourished, that are starving for connection and love and appreciation and coaching probably, because they don't know how to do it differently. And so you've got a family who needs a change. And there is no super nanny coming to knock on your door to put people in timeout, which doesn't work, by the way, but that's a whole other conversation. You don't have that person coming. No one is coming, my loves. No one is coming into your house to show you how to do it differently, to show you how to have a better life. The only person that is coming is me and you, where we say, that's enough. I see what my dinner table situation is. I understand how that reflects in my life and in my marriage and in me and in my husband. And that is enough. We are going to do it differently. I'm going to set some goals. I'm going to find new skills, and I'm going to get the best help that I can in order to break the cycle that we're in, because I understand that the trajectory at best is not good. At worst, it's terrible. Kids who don't belong and aren't loved in a family the way that we just described, they don't end up happy. They end up with a backpack full of pain. They end up self-medicating. They end up disconnected, on their phones, vulnerable to the wrong crowd. They end up in a place where you are not their safe place. Or sometimes you're safe and sometimes you're not, and they can't really pick it. Or they can pick it, and then they manage you. Terrible. That's not matriarchal and patriarchal leadership at its best. That is someone who has grown old and not grown up. Do you see? So if your dinner table now isn't working, you have the greatest opportunity in the world to grow into an adult that can love and maintain boundaries and coach and connect and lead and be that person that you wish was already leading your family. Because when you look around that dinner table and it's not working, the only people that are responsible for the culture of that family, who set the tone for how we do things in this house, are you and your husband. And so something's not working. And if something's not working, we don't just leave it not working. That's a terrible idea. Our job is to say, wouldn't it be nice to have a life where we couldn't wait to be at the dinner table together, to hear about each other's day and to share our news, to share our trials, to share the things that are hurting us, to seek comfort in those that when we put the key in the door, it feels amazing. This is what we want for you and your family. We want you to feel like it's this family against the world. We have got each other. We are unbreakable. No matter what happens, it's us against the world. We are not a series of I's or me's living under one roof, terribly alone, holed up in our room. No, we are a collective community who is able to go and have our own experience in the world and come back and share and love and give and receive. And that is what we want to create with you. And so if this is not happening in your life, in your family, and you look at your dinner table and there is no dinner table, or you look at your dinner table and it's chaos, or you look at your dinner table and it's sometimes good, sometimes not good, mostly not good, don't allow yourself the luxury of ignoring that. This is not a season. This is a culture. And who set the culture? You did. So did your husband. So don't absolve yourself from the responsibility of having a great life, and having a wonderful family culture together that you co-create and lead. Now, if you don't know how to do this, I'm here to help you. You can watch my masterclass. It is the beginning of the skill sets that you need. You can also book a call with me because I'd love to talk to you. Here's the thing though, when you let yourself off the hook for leading your family in a way where you're calm, connected, and kind, where you say, oh, it's okay. All of my other friends are losing their shit all the time or drinking themselves 3 glasses of wine to cope every night. This is normal. Well, here's the thing, my loves. It's not great to be in a group of people that are also not coping, that are also having families that don't feel well connected and loved and supported. So be the change you want to see in that community as well. Start to make the changes that need to happen and then spread the word to these beautiful women around you about what is possible, what you can create. Yes, without medicating yourself with alcohol so that you can downplay that nervous system enough to be able to have a decent-ish dinner. No one is saying that a glass of wine is a problem. But if you are using 3 or 4 glasses of wine to cope, if you are snapping and irritable and not leading and blaming and being resentful of the family that you created with your husband, then you need to understand that there is an opportunity here to not have this life, to literally work together as a team, where it is us against the world, where it is the two of you leading your family in a really, really thoughtful way, where sometimes things go wrong because that's life, but that's okay. Where we make repairs, we have apologies, we have deep connection, and we all trust each other with our life, with our heart. Now, if this isn't working for you, here's what we need to do. Watch the masterclass, book a call. Decide you want to do something different. Set a goal, you and your husband. What do we want our family to look like, to feel like? What do we need to be able to do that? What are we missing? What support do we need? Let's engage the kids. What do we want our family culture to feel like? Who and how are we going to have that happen? Do you see? It's all about taking responsibility for the family that you are the head of. And it's about realizing that you are the head of that family. There is nobody else. You set the tone, you set the culture, you set how it feels and what the legacy is for the family that you get to create right now. And so this is important. This is the most important thing in your life. It's more important than work. It's more important than money. It's more important than anything. Is the legacy you leave and the way your kids remember you and the way you live your life. Are you in integrity? Are you living in joy? Do you have access to flow and that sense of belonging and ease and grace? Are you modeling that with your kids? Are you able to be there and coach and support and love and be the lighthouse for them? If the answer is no, then let's get you some clarity around what's not working. Let's get you a plan on on how you're going to get to where you want to go. And let's get you the skills that you need to be able to do it differently, because you can turn this around. You can create whatever you want, whenever you want. The only question is, what do you want? And when are you willing to make the decision to be the change you want to see? And so if you need help, we're here. I love you. I love working with all of you. Please make the decision to do the work. Then find the person who's going to be alongside you. If that's me, that's amazing. If that's somebody else and they're really good and they're going to get you where you want to go, then I'm delighted for you. But I want you to focus and I want you to decide. Okay, that is me done today. This is a big topic. Family's really important. I don't know if there's anything more important than family. And you are the leader of the family. You are the matriarch. You have the power. You can create the cultural tone in that family any day you want to. So if the culture doesn't match what you wish it did, then the opportunity is to look in the mirror and take a good hard look at the legacy you're creating and let yourself wonder, if you were 80 years old, if this would be okay with you. And if it's not, don't allow yourself to not change, because that is the greatest disservice you can do to to yourself and for your kids and for your community. So my loves, the pain you hold is the source of your strength to be the difference you want to see. Use that pain for good. Use that pain to get up and make a different choice. So you get to create what you want. You are amazing. Do not forget that. You are just waking up into your amazingness. And I'm delighted to see you here. Much love to you. Bye, darlings.